Hi, I'm Eric with Simply Elegant Home Cooking. My favorite time of the year is fall, which is rapidly approaching because it's a great time to make delicious homemade hearty soups. This is one of my favorites. It's a creamy chicken and wild rice soup. Not your ordinary chicken soup you're used to, but this is very easy to put together. You're going to love it, so stick around and I'll show you how it's done. So I started out by prepping the vegetables. I have 4 stalks of celery, 2 medium carrots, and a medium onion that I have diced up rather large. I also have 2 cloves of garlic broken down in a garlic press, and I have about 5 thyme sprigs where I've removed the leaves. And for the chicken, I have 2 large chicken breasts from a roast chicken. That's my preferred method. I have a link below if you need to see how to roast a chicken, but I like to remove the breast pieces and cut them up into bite-sized pieces. We have about 4 cups of chicken meat. So I have a pot that I am heating on medium heat, and I'm going to add in 4 tablespoons of butter. And once this melts, we're just going to saute those vegetables down until they're a little bit softened. So now that the butter is melted, I'm going to add in the vegetables. Going with my garlic and the thyme leaves. And once that's added, you just want to stir this around a bit to incorporate everything evenly. And once you get your vegetables sauteing, you just want to add a little bit of salt and pepper. So we're just going to let these saute for about 5 minutes or so, or until these have softened a bit and released their moisture. And our vegetables have now been going for about 5 minutes and they've softened a bit. So at this point, I'm going to go in with a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. And we just want to stir that around. I'm going to reduce the heat just a little bit. It's on medium-low now. So what we want to do, this process is called making a roux, mixing the flour and the butter. We just want to cook that out to get rid of some of the raw flour taste. And this is going to give us a great base to build the soup. And now that we've cooked that down a bit, we're going to add in some chicken stock. You want to be sure to use homemade. And what you want to do is you want to slowly add the stock. We have 8 cups, and I'm going to just add that gradually, bit by bit. So you want to add a little bit at a time and kind of stir as you go. In this process of just adding the stock real slowly, what this is going to do, it's going to allow us to prevent any lumps from forming. So that's why we're doing it this way. And as you keep adding that stock, just be sure to stir. Use your spatula to scrape off anything from the bottom and the sides. And here's how it looks after adding all 8 cups of the stock. So I'm going to just stir this again a bit. I'm going to crank it all the way up to medium-high. We want to get this up to a simmer. So here's the wild rice that I'm going to be using. You don't necessarily have to use this brand. I found this at the health food store. It can be a little bit difficult to find, so you might have to either find a health food store or like a high-end grocery store to find it. And our soup is almost up to a simmer, so at this point I'm going to add in 1 cup of the wild rice. Okay, and we've reached a gentle simmer, so at this point I'm going to turn the heat down. You'll let that go on about low to medium low, just maintain the simmer, and it's going to take about 45 minutes to simmer, although with about 10 minutes left we're going to add the chicken. So we'll check back in a bit when it's time to do that. Okay, so our rice has been simmering for about 30 minutes. Still has a little bit to go, but at this point we want to add the chicken to make sure that that gets cooked thoroughly, brought up to temperature thoroughly. So I'm going to go in there with all the chicken. And once all your chicken's in there, just give everything another big stir to incorporate it all. And we're going to let this go for about another 10 or 15 minutes or until that rice is a little bit more tender. Okay, so at this point the rice has been going for about 40 minutes, and I just want to show you something. You can notice that the pieces of rice are starting to burst out of their shells. That's a good mark that we're getting close to being done. At that point, you're only about 5 to 10 minutes away from this being complete. And there's just about 5 minutes to go, so at this point I'm going to add the heavy cream. I have 1 cup of heavy cream. You just want to kind of stir that in there slowly, gradually. And once the cream's in, just continue to stir, and this is going to thicken up gradually over the next couple of minutes. And in the last few minutes of cooking, you just want to taste for seasoning. It's really, really good. Just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And you can see that's starting to really thicken up. In just a couple more minutes, we'll be ready to serve this up. Okay, so here's the finished product. Let me dig in and give it a taste. That turned out absolutely perfectly. The wild rice just adds such a nice touch. It's very, very different than what you're used to in a traditional chicken and rice soup, but it's very hearty, goes together perfectly. So I really hope you enjoyed this dish, creamy chicken and wild rice soup. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Eric with Simply Elegant Home Cooking, and I'll see you again soon.